Anyway except badly.
Nói cái đồ
The
bò
thing to do
gì.
now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Đi nào anh em. Work nha.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Alo, có ai đây không? Hay mẹ máy tính đang chạy đấy. Ủa, sao tắt rồi? Đừng có hù tao nha. Tao sợ lắm đấy. Sao phòng nào giống phòng nào đấy?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Anyway. I think input à? Đây làm gì ta?
When Stanley came to a set of two open
What
doors,
the fuck?
he entered the
Mở
door
cửa
on
ra.
his left.
Chết mỏi rồi nha bạn. Tôi thấy có gì đó không ổn rồi. Đi cửa nào đây nha em? Trái đi trái đi phải. Trời ơi. Chúng ta nên đi trái đi bên phải đây. Khốn nạn. Theo tôi đi trái đi anh em. Nên đi bên trái. Em nha. Giật mình. Chết. Ui, nhiều kia tắt điện. Không có cái gì cho tôi phòng thân à. Cái súng chẳng hạn. Tối thế. Hello. Có ai đây không?
Yet there was not a single person
What the
here
fuck?
either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Mod for all. Bệnh viện à? À, số lượng à? Thế chứ? Máy chiếu. Tôi héo hiểu. Ai biết tiếng Anh bao giờ đâu. Ôi sẹp mẹ, đọc cái gì? Đấy.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Đây, cầm cái gậy đi.
There was nothing here, no choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom
Có thể
closet.
cầm gậy được
No reason
không?
to
Mẹ
still
cái
be
mọn lết
here.
này nè. Trời ơi.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Nếu cho mình cầm gậy nha bạn, khốn nạn. Không có khả năng phòng vệ. Ui ôi, cụ già kìa mẹ ra thì ma nào mẹ đứng đấy rồi tôi. Đi đi.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ra đi đi xuống. Có gì để chạy chứ. Nó đéo cho đóng cửa luôn rồi. Ui. Cái mỡ âm nhỏ mẹ không giật mình. Nó không có gì phòng thân này.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange, this can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange.
Sao
I'm
đây mọi
dreaming
người?
about a voice describing me, thinking
robot
about
này.
how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
Giống bị mê cung
Stanley
vậy.
is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this
Ôi,
was a
nói gì đau
dream.
đầu quá.
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
Let me wake
I'm
up.
through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Okay, let's go.
I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
Phải đéo hiểu cái làm cái lồn gì vậy.
This is the story of a
Và mẹ
woman
ra
named
quái nó
Mariella.
vừa tắt phát mẹ. Wow,
Mariella
giật
woke up
mình
on a
vãi
day
đồi
like
luôn.
any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day,
What the
her
fuck?
walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she
Crazy,
knew.
man.
Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better.
Quá đi sai.
Then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day.
fuck?
The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Lại quay về phòng này. Chắc phải đi lên trên.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Nãy là mình
he
đi
entered the
bên
door on
trái
his
rồi
left.
mình đi phải.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Có nên đi vào đây không anh em? Tôi nghĩ là đéo.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Rồi, xe dưới kia rồi. Ôi sao không có người?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You...
Hello.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Oh, you good morning. Phải cho người viết chứ. Này không phải mở cửa tao đi à. Vào đây tao bị ngu rồi. Game ức chế quá à. Hòa hết mắt. Đâu có yếu tố kinh dị gì hết.